All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to start the third round of the St. Louis Blue Note Cup. Rockets getting ready to go against St. Peter's. St. Peter's won a game earlier against the other Rockets team. The Rockets, of course, beat the Kirkwood team. We're here at Kirkwood Ice Arena in Kirkwood, Missouri. Should be a good game. We do have the same referees we had this morning, so I don't expect this call to get loose at all. These refs keep it down, keep it tight. Actually, they keep it too tight. We hope the referees actually let them play again today. They didn't let them play earlier, but they're going to hopefully let them play today. We'll have to see how it goes. Can you stand on the back here? Thank you. All right, we're starting off tonight's line with McLaughlin in at center, Gross. Wagner and Follis in on defense, and Downs in on the other winger. Faceoff goes to St. Peter's. They send it on net, and then Follis picks it up. Follis to Gross. Gross takes it into the neutral zone. Downs chases after it. McLaughlin with the shot, deflected. And they're going to call something here. Let's hope somebody gets on these refs for calling penalties. Now McLaughlin still in at center is going to take the face off. Gardner and Young come in on defense. Still have Downs and Gross on the wingers. Face off. Back to Gardner at the point. He sends it back inside the neutral zone. Pass over to Downs. He loses it over to St. Peter's. St. Peter's sends it into the neutral zone. Young's right there with the puck. Sends it back up. Gross now chases after it. He's got the puck. Wish everybody would sit down in front of me. Marburger sends it towards the net. Now Gardner back at the point, sends it back in, but not very deep. Backhands it over to Gross. Now St. Peter's has it. They pass it up to their winger who's at center ice. St. Peter's still in control of it. Gross tries to flip it into the neutral zone. Now Young with the puck. Young sends it up to Gross. Gross has Parrish over to Parrish now. Parrish sends it over to the left of the net. St. Peter's goes after it. Salmons and Benoit now in on defense. Pass over to the center. St. Peter's takes it into the zone. Now Parrish has it from the top of the circle, sends it into the neutral zone. St. Peter's picks it up. Jansen's trying to get there. Now St. Peter's back to center, but Ryleman's there. St. Peter's picks it back up again, though. Now Rockets head back the other way. Akins chases after it. Now Salmons with the puck in the neutral zone. He flips it over to Akins. St. Peter's gets control of it back in their own zone. Now Wagner sends it in deep, no offsides. Back in the middle in the neutral zone, Follis. Up to Kai. Kai chases after it. Center pass right in front of the net. Rockets can't capitalize on that play. St. Peter's takes it out and past the blue line. They head past the red line into their Rockets zone. Now Wagner tries to get rid of it, gives it to Fallis. Fallis misses the puck, does able to kick it into the neutral zone. And now Giorgio's heading after it, gets bodied by St. Peter's. Hellwig over there. Oh, now Young tries to flip it, but then misses it. Gardner with the puck, skates around the center ice and sends it back over past Giorgio. Alexander now in on the play. St. Peter's picks it up, past the blue line. They make another pass. Now Giorgio with the puck. He sends it back into the neutral zone. Hellwig's right there. Vert's getting checked. Now Alexander puts it past the left side of the goal, and then St. Peter's comes back with it. They're heading back the other way, right in front of me. Now Gardner picks it up behind the net. Benoit now on the play. He's able to stop St. Peter's from getting any further closer to the net. And puck ends up back inside the St. Peter's zone where they pick it up behind the net. They skate around, get some speed. Gross now there. Salmon's now back in on defense as well. Gross back checking fast. Puck on net, flipped over the top of the goal. Not really the top of the goal. Blocked by Benoit. Benoit sends it back up towards the blue line, but it's captured by St. Peter's. They send it back in deep. Salmon sends it up. Downs there. Gross picks it up. He sends it up to McLaughlin. McLaughlin's got some space here, but then sends it deep and goes for a line change. Ends up on net. Now intercepted by Parrish. And then sent back into the neutral zone where Fallis picks it up and sends it back the other way. Back to St. Peter's. They send it back into the neutral zone again. Fallis now reverses direction. Sends it up to Marburger. Marburger makes a pass to Parrish. And back to Marburger. Rockets can't hold the zone, or actually they clear the zone. St. Peter's can't hold the zone. Now Marburger has one guy in front of him, but two guys back checking. He makes a center pass. Now Jansen passes it up to Wagner, who slams it down deep. Now Parrish after it to Marburger. Now Follow steps up from the point, deflected right in front of him though. Then he sends it back a little bit deeper. Jansen on it. Back to Fallis. Fallis trying to get it off the blue line. Now it's flipped in by St. Peter's, and Wagner's chasing after it. Wagner bounces it off the boards and sends it into the zone. Now right, straight off the bench, Akins comes in, but can't capitalize on that play. Now puck ends up back in Rockets zone all the way on the other side. It's going to be an icing on St. Peter's with 8:21 left in the first period. It's going to send the puck all the way back to the other side of the ice. Young and Gardner in on the play with Akins, Kai, and Ryleman in on the wingers. Face-off, Dew, and co-referees talking to somebody on the bench over there. I don't know. Is it a mouth guard or is it a neck guard? I don't know what it is. These refs need to get out of the game, though. I can tell you that. They want to intercede in every part of the game. They just need to let the boys play. Let's go, Rockets. Face-off. Back to Gardner at the point. He misses it. Now Young chases after it. He misses it. Now shot. Glove saved by a Mormon. Gardner misses it. St. Peter's with a chance there, but Mormon makes the save and covers for a face-off inside the Rockets zone. Face-off Akins goes back into the neutral zone. Kai chasing after it. Gets a check on St. Peter's. Keeps it in the zone. Now in front of the net, St. Peter's picks it up. They flip it up. And the Rockets lose that zone. Gardner sends it back in. I guess that was offsides. 7:47 left in the period. This referee in front of me, not very good ref. I don't usually say this, but I've watched him for 2 games now. Not very good. Now Mal Alexander now. Now back to Salmons. Salmons and Benoit now in with Giorgio, Alexander, and Hellwig. This line scored a couple goals earlier tonight, or today. Now it goes back into the zone. Alexander and Hellwig fighting over it there in the corner, not themselves, but against St. Peter's. Ends up getting sent towards the net and covered by St. Peter's goalie. 7:19 left in the first period. Face-off. Sent back towards St. Peter's. They send it up the boards. Hellwig's keeping it in the zone with Alexander there. Now Giorgio sends it back into the corner. Fighting for it. Back to Salmons here in front of me. He tries to send it up, but doesn't get a real good shot on the puck there. Now St. Peter's heads back the other way. Shot on net, and Mormon blocks it and covers with 6:55 left in the first period. Good save by Mormon. St. Peter's had an opportunity there. They were able to get a shot on net. Scoreboard's not keeping count on the shots on net. So I'll just tell you what it feels like. Now Giorgio chases after it. Oh, back check by St. Peter's, or St. Peter's beats him to it. Still good effort by Giorgio. St. Peter's makes a pass into the neutral zone. Now Wagner right in front of me. He sends it back into the St. Peter's zone. Centered to Alexander from Giorgio and couldn't quite connect on the pass. Now it's back into the neutral zone where Fallis chases after it. He sends it up on side of the boards. Hellwig gets a little baby check. Oh, they're going to call that? Oh, my God. Hey, they called it interference, but this is 14U hockey. Again, we're playing with the same referees that we played with this afternoon. They are calling everything. Now Giorgio chases after it in the corner. Penalty not able to get on the scoreboard, so the referees blow it dead. Oh yeah, let me get this turned on. There you go. Power, whoop, I didn't hit that right. Power play for the Rockets. Minute 30, 6:07 left in the first period. Gross taking the face-off. He's got Wagner, Fallis, McLaughlin, and Giorgio in on wingers. Face-off, Gross to Giorgio. Giorgio sends it back to Fallis. Fallis back to Giorgio. Giorgio centers it, but intercepted by the St. Peter's team. Sends it back into the neutral zone across the blue line, and it's going to be icing on St. Peter's. Minute 17 left in the penalty now. Face off back to the Rockets. Now McLaughlin centers it. Wagner sends it back over to Giorgio in the corner. Giorgio centers it. Deflected in front by St. Peter's. Rockets trying to get it in on net. Now back around. Follis picks it up from close to the blue line. He sends it across to Wagner. Wagner skates across. Sends it deeper into the zone. Gross now chasing after it. Now St. Peter's kicks it into the neutral zone. Follis is right there though. Now over to Giorgio. And they're going to call that as well. And now they're going to call 2 penalties. These refs need to go home, I can tell you that much. They called an interference and they call a check on Giorgio. This is ridiculous. They need to let him play. I don't usually get involved in it like this. I honestly don't, but these refs are horrible. You guys have listened to me enough. I don't get involved when the refs play, in the refs calls, but I'm telling you, these last 2 games, these refs are horrible. We got a 4-on-3 or 4-on-4. Wait, is it a 5-on-4? What are we doing here? 5 Rockets in against 4 St. Peter's. 5:07 left. Parrish on the face-off. 5:07 left in the period. Young and Salmon's in on defense. It looks like we have Akins on the left wing. Is it? Face-off now, controlled by the Rockets. Back to Salmon. Salmon flips it off the boards and into the neutral zone. Now Parrish chases after it. He's got it. He's got a 1 and shot, and it's deflected off to the left. Now Young sends it back in. Good stick lift. Now Parrish again, shot, deflected out in front, and the goalie covers. St. Peter's goalie covers with 4:45 left in the first period. We got 3 seconds left in one of the penalties, 1:08 in the other penalty, and 1:38 in the Rockets penalty. So the St. Peter's will end up in a power play with about 30 seconds when it's all said and done. Right now, Rockets in a power play. Face-off controlled and over to St. Peter's, who sends it into the neutral zone and across the ice. It's not on. Oh, that was an icing that they didn't call. Most people don't know, but it can hit the goal. If it has to be, it has to hit the goalie to be an icing. Has to hit the goalie, and that did not hit the goalie, so that was an icing for sure. Now Parrish sends it back to the point. Young sends it on goal and blocked by St. Peter's goalie. Now Rockets behind the net. Alexander. I'm sorry, that was Akins. The Rockets go for a line change. They're going to bring in Marburger, Jansen, Hellwig, Follis, and Wagner on the play for 4:05 left here in this first period. Again, 29 seconds left in the 4-on-4, and then St. Peter's is going to end up in a power play here with about 30 seconds left. Hellwig on the faceoff. Sends it back to St. Peter's. St. Peter's behind the net, sends it around the boards. Follis at the blue line, keeps it in. Now Hellwig sends it back deeper into the zone. St. Peter's picks it up behind their net. Back into the neutral zone again. And flipped in on net. And Mormon's going to cover that one. 25 seconds now with a power play for St. Peter's. 3:32 left in the first period. Face-off deep in the Rockets zone, left circle. Face-off won by the Rockets to Gardner. Gardner sends it up off the boards to Kai and Akins. And Ryleman in on offense. Back to Gardner. Gardner sends it in. That's going to be offsides on the Rockets. Young and Gardner in on defense. They're going to keep the same line. Offside? What? Why is the face-off down here? Face-off should not be down here. That was offsides. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's. They send it back into the corner. Power play is over. Rockets into the neutral zone. Kai going after it now. He gets past the blue line. No, they're not going to call that, I guess. Now Young sends it in deep to the right, to the left of the net. No icing. Now St. Peter's behind their own net, or behind the Rockets net. Akins picks it up. Now puck ends up back in the neutral zone. That's probably going to be icing on the Rockets. 2:23 left in the first period. The Rockets go for 5 new guys on the ice. St. Peter's changes about half the boys. Alexander now in with Helwig and Giorgio, Salmons. And Benoit. Now Alexander chases that, or goes through the neutral zone, and he's got it right. He tries to get a shot, ends up actually as a center pass. Now Salmon steps up. Shot! And blocked by the goalie from Salmon's shot. Rockets can't capitalize on the rebound. Now Salmons picks it up in the neutral zone again, sends it across the ice to Alexander. St. Peter's gets control of it though. Now it goes back. Alexander chasing after it. It's no icing here. Giorgio steps in, picks up the puck. Now pass. Oh, that's a trip. No call. They don't call the calls that are real calls. They just call the ones that aren't. Now St. Peter's heads back the other way. Benoit. St. Peter's back into the neutral zone. They send it on net. It bounces off the glove of Mormon and then sent by Benoit back into the neutral zone where St. Peter's picks it up. Salmon sends it across the ice to Giorgio. Giorgio flips it up. Now St. Peter's in control in their own zone. And it's offsides on St. Peter's with 45 seconds left in the first period. Wagner and Fallis come in on defense with McLaughlin, Gross, and Downs in on offense. Face-off right outside the Rockets zone. And it's sent over to back into St. Peter's zone. Gross tries to pinch up. Oh, shot by St. Peter's right from the slot. Saved by Mormon and then sent over the top of the net. Now St. Peter's loses the zone. They send it back across the ice to recollect themselves and right back into the zone. Shot on net. And Mormon deflects and then ends up in front of him. Now Rockets battling for the puck. Follis with it behind the net, sends it off the side of the boards. Now Gross sends it to the middle of the ice where St. Peter's picks it up again. They recollect themselves. That's the end of the period. The Rockets ready for the second period. Scores tied 0-0. 15 minutes to go in the second period now. Parrish in at center. Marburger, Jansen, Young, and Gardner in on defense. The crowd's getting excited. Everybody's ready to play the second period on a tie game. Again, the referees want to interject themselves in the game. Just get out of it, fellas. Let's play hockey. Face-off. Controlled by St. Peter's and then sent back to the Rockets. Now St. Peter's sends into the Rockets zone. They go into the corner. Mormon extended himself a little bit. St. Peter's was there to take advantage of the situation, and they get a goal to go up 1-0 with 20 seconds into the second period. Rockets aren't going to be happy with that one. Rockets not happy at all. Akins comes into center. Salmons, Benoit, Ryleman, and Kai in on offense. Rockets are ready to get this one back, I can tell. St. Peter's making some noise on their bench. St. Peter's comes away with the face-off. They send it back down deep, and it's going to be offsides on St. Peter's. The refs are going to hold hands together so that they can make themselves feel better about the calls they're calling. And now we have Akins on the face-off here in front of me. Face-off back to Salmons. Salmons flips it into the neutral zone. And then it's sent back deep into the Rocket zone. Benoit picks it up. He sends it over to Ryleman. Ryleman skates up with it. Sends it up, but then it's intercepted. And it's going to be offsides on St. Peter's now. St. Peter's is pumped up and ready to go. You can tell they've got some energy coming into this period after that game-leading goal. Face-off, Akins sends it back to Salmons. Salmons sends it in. It gets stuck at the blue line, though. Held in. Now back at center ice, Benoit to Salmons. Salmons sends it in. It gets deflected off Kai, then Kai sends it in deep behind the net. St. Peter's picks it up. Akins is right there. Puts some body into it. And now Ryman has the puck. Kai's right in front of the net. Now it's back to Salmons. Salmons shoots it. Gets deflected out in front. Another shot. Oh, off the backside of the net. Oh, another shot by Benoit, and that one gets deflected out in front. Now Benoit can't quite hold the blue line. Sends it back to Salmons. Salmons recollects everybody. Sends it over to the left side of the boards. And then St. Peter's collects the puck. And they send back the other way. Now Salmons again. He sends it out to skate to St. Peter's and back into their own zone where Ryland picks it up. Ryland passes it up to Akins. Akins sends it deeper in. Kai in the corner behind the net now. Kai looking to center it. Now St. Peter's picks it up. They send it around the boards. Salmon steps up, pinches, sends it towards the net. Deflected out in front. No shot on net. Now heading back the other way. St. Peter's centers it. Alexander gets it though and sends it to Salmons. Salmons passes it up to Hellwig. Hellwig to Benoit. Benoit back over to Alexander and he loses it over to St. Peter's. Now heading back the other way. Giorgio's in on the play. Giorgio and Alexander. Alexander passes to Giorgio. Giorgio now centers it. Ends up right in front of the net. Alexander couldn't get there, though, to get a shot. He sends it back to Wagner. Wagner sends it across and ends up back in St. Peter's hands. Now St. Peter's has a breakaway. Follows, trying to get there. And is able to get a stick around it to where St. Peter's can't get a shot on net. Now Rockets are heading back the other way with Giorgio. Giorgio goes past one guy and centers it. Oh! Follows now, keeps it inside the blue line. He skates around a guy. Puck off the back of the net. Hellwig chases after it. Now Wagner now leaves the zone and Follis ends up with it at the center line. Giorgio sends it back into the zone. St. Peter's picks it up. Now it ends up Giorgio back to Alexander. Alexander's shot. And it's deflected off and in front. Rockets lose the zone. Now Giorgio picks it up again. He's got two guys to beat. He slows down just a little bit against the boards. Now St. Peter's enters the zone. From the point, McLaughlin over to Giorgio. Giorgio's got a breakaway. Let's see what he does. Oh my! It's saved by the goalie. Great save by St. Peter's goalie. Giorgio had an awesome chance there. 10:50 left in the second period. Now puck ends up behind in the Rocket zone. Follis is after it. He's trying to get a pass out. He sends it across the ice to Gross. Gross can't quite get a hold of it. Young now sends it into the zone. Now St. Peter's picks it up, skates around the back of their net. They try to center it, but Parrish is right there. Parrish makes a move, makes two moves, but can't get a shot off. And the puck's sent back into the neutral zone. Downs chases after it. He sends it back into the neutral zone. Parrish is there. St. Peter's pounds it back in behind the net. Mormon gives the puck to Young. Young sends it back across the ice. That's going to end up on net, no icing. 9:52 left in the game in the second period. St. Peter's behind their own net. Puck's heading back the other way. St. Peter's flips it in behind the net now. Rockets Marburger chasing out of the zone. He loses a glove. Picks it up. Now Young sends it to Parrish. Parrish tries to send it to the middle. St. Peter's is right there. They bobble it and then flip it into the zone. Young steps up and stops that play from happening. Now Gross flips it into the neutral zone. He chases after it, but can't get there in time. Now Young at center line sends it just left of the net and then bounces back up to the goalie. Now Jansen in the corner. He sends it over. But can't. He's got Jansen, and he's got to be 5 foot tall, maybe, going against a 6'2" St. Peter's guy. But he still holds his own. Sends it over to Marburger. Marburger now to Parrish. Parrish in front of me now and goes through the neutral zone. Passes it over to Jansen. Shot, and it's deflected left. Big check, no call. St. Peter's takes it across into the neutral zone. Jansen's there. He sends it back to Salmons now. Salmons flips it over to Marburger. Marburger collects himself and then can't get a pass off, but he gets it back to Parrish somehow. And then Parrish loses it. Now Marburger, then Parrish sends it back into the zone. Now back across into the neutral zone with St. Peter's. And that's going to be offsides on St. Peter's with 7:57 left in the second period. I don't think these boys are talking about love being on time. They're just trying to play hockey. I think the refs might be talking about love on time. Face-off now, right outside the Rockets zone. St. Peter's wins it. Now Salmon slams it back in, and then Akins sends it even deeper into the St. Peter's zone. They chase after it. St. Peter's picks it up. Now Benoit from the point sends it back over into the corner. Center pass to Kai, and Kai doesn't get a real good shot off, but it does end up on net for a shot on goal. And saved by the St. Peter's goalie with 7:31 left in the second period. Face-off Akins. Follows Wagner in on defense. Back to Wagner. Wagner shot wide left. Follow steps up, sends it back into the zone with Downs there on the left. Akins and Kai. St. Peter's enters the neutral zone. Back check by both Kai and Downs. Now Akins after it. Rocket. Now it's going to be offsides on St. Peter's. Alexander, Giorgio, and Hellwig enter in for offense with Follis and Wagner staying in on defense. This line's been a good line. The Alexander, Hellwig, Giorgio line scored a couple goals earlier in the day. And again, the referees interjecting themselves, talking to the coaches. Don't know what's going on. They just like to talk. A minute or 7:08 left in the second period. These refs suck, man.
Yeah. It's just so disruptive. Play the game, dude.
All right, Hellwig on the face-off now. Let's see what's going on. I don't know what they had to talk about, but nothing came of it. Face-off goes back into the Rockets zone. Follis picks it up. He sends it into the neutral zone. Giorgio chases after it, and does St. Peter's, but they're going to call that an icing on the Rockets. 7 minutes left in the second period. We're going to send it back to the other side of the ice. Rockets don't change any lines. St. Peter's doesn't change the lines. Face off to Follis. Follis up to the point. Hellwig tries to hand pass to himself and does so. Keeps it out of the zone. Now chases after it. St. Peter's sends it into the zone. Follis behind the net. averts a check. Now Alexander ends up back to the point of St. Peter's, who sends it deep to the right corner. Now back to the point of St. Peter's. He sends it deep. Follis now sends it up to Giorgio. Pretty sure that hit the ceiling. They should have called it a dead play, but they didn't. Point sends it deep around the boards. Alexander chases after it. Now from the slot, saved by Mormon. 6:02 left in the second period. Gross, McLaughlin, and Downs come in on offense with Gardner and Young in on defense. Face off, back to the point. He shoots it, and Mormon saves and covers. Face off back to St. Peter's point. He shoots, gets deflected out in front, but goes wide right. Now Downs passes up to Gross. Gross passes the red line. He's got two guys in front of him. Tries to center it. Now Gardner steps up, sends it, and it's blocked out in front. Now St. Peter's has somebody. Young chasing back after him, though. Shot goes wide left. Young picks it up. Great job by Young getting back. And back into the neutral zone the puck goes. St. Peter's goes back, or sends it back over towards their defenders, and they try to send it back into the zone. Gardner sends it back into the neutral zone again. Gross is right there. Gross has got four guys on him. He shoots it, and it's deflected out in front and then covered by the St. Peter's goalie with 5:10 left in the second period. Salmons and Benoit come on the ice with Jansen, Marburger, and Parrish. Face off, back to Salmons. Salmons shoots it, but it's deflected right in front of him. He has to get back into the neutral zone. He sends it deep. Offsides on the Rockets with 5:02 in the second. Parrish on the face-off, sends it over to Jansen. Jansen, Salmons with the stick, and then the puck sent back into the neutral zone where St. Peter's collects themselves and then sends it back, tries to send it back in, but Parrish is right there. He passes it over to Jansen, but St. Peter's is there again. They send it back into the neutral zone one more time. And then Benoit's there. He makes a pass to Jansen, but can't get it out of the neutral zone. Marburger in the corner, sends it back along the back. Salmons chases after it, reverses direction. Marburger passes over to Parrish, but can't quite connect. Benoit back to Jansen, back to St. Peter's. Now St. Peter's sends it across the ice over to Benoit. Benoit collects the pass, looks to pass it across, but ends up at center ice to St. Peter's. Now Salmons is there playing defense. Shot. Glove saved by Mormon. He scooped that one up off the ground. That one looked a little dangerous with 3:49 left in the second. Salmons and Benoit replaced with Follis and Wagner. Aiken's taking the face-off. Aiken's back to Wagner. Wagner sends it around the edge of the boards. Rahman goes after it. Rahman sends it in the neutral zone. Now Kai. Kai's got one guy in front of him. Shot! And another shot! Both deflected and sent wide left and right. The Rockets trying to pound it into the goal. Get as many shots on net as they can here. 3:25 left in the game, the second period. Now Kai over here. Oh, Follis whiffs on one. Follis trying to get there before St. Peter's does. Now Follis back with the puck. He sends it up to Akins. Akins gets it into the neutral zone. Now Akins got one guy in front of him. Back check behind him, though. Oh, they're going to call a trip on that. I don't know about that one. I'd call it more maybe of a hook. He had his stick wrapped around him, and Akins fell down. That's going to give the Rockets a power play. With 2:55 left in the second period, Rockets get a minute and a half power play. Let's see if they can capitalize on this and get some shots on net. They're going to send Salmons and Benoit, Hellwig, Giorgio, and Alexander in for the power play. Face off Hellwig, he sends it over to Alexander. Alexander sends it back to Salmons. Salmons back to Alexander. Alexander sends it up and tries to do a little wraparound, but gets shut down there. Now back to Salmons at the point. He sends it to Benoit. Benoit shoots one slow and low. Now Benoit at the point again. Back over to Alexander. Alexander does some moves, sends it back to Salmons. Salmons steps up, shoots it from his knees, ends up going left behind the net. Now Giorgio recollects everybody and sends it back into the zone again. Alexander chases after it, sends it over to Hellwig. Hellwig over to Giorgio now. And then back to Alexander. Giorgio now sends it to Salmons at the point. Salmons steps up, shot, deflected out in front. A little backhand by Hellwig, doesn't get through. But now Giorgio's there again. He sends it back to Salmons again. Salmons sends it, deflected out in front and covered by St. Peter's goalie. 13 seconds left in the power play. A minute 38 left in the second period. We've got some action here, ladies and gentlemen, with a 0-1 game. It's a tight game here in the second period. Young and Follis come in on defense. McLaughlin, Akins, and Gross in on offense. Face off, McLaughlin. Now Gross chasing after it. Puck sent around the edge of the boards to Young, who sends it back to the middle of the ice where St. Peter's picks it up. Follis sends it back into the neutral. Oh, doesn't quite leave the neutral zone. And now the buzzer rings with a minute 19 left in the second. I guess that's offsides. Face-off right outside the Rockets zone. McLaughlin on the face-off. Back to Follis. Follis sends it across the ice. Young chooses not to pinch up on that one. Now Gross sends it across over to Akins. Akins now at center ice. He's got one guy to beat. Now McLaughlin shot. And blocked and covered by the St. Peter's goalie. Great shot by McLaughlin. He got the puck and immediately shot it. I don't think St. Peter's was expecting it, but they did do a great save there. 58 seconds left in the period. McLaughlin on the face-off back to Young. Young over to Follis. Follis sends it deep into the corner. Now Follis steps up, sends it back deep again. Follis holds it at the blue line, sends it, deflected out in front, but not on goal. And I didn't see this one. .47 seconds left. And they're going to call a penalty here on St. Peter's, looks like. The box is open. St. Peter's is going to get a penalty here. Oh yeah, we're back in the power play according to the scoreboard. Forgot to turn that one off. Now Rockets are on a power play. Young, Giorgio, Gross, Akins, Follis in on the play. All right, let's play hockey. Giorgio on the faceoff. Let's get this going, boys. Giorgio wins it back to Follis. I'm sorry, back to Gross. Then Gross loses it. Shot ends up wide. Follis picks it up, skates it up himself, sends it up to Giorgio, who sends it into the zone. Giorgio chases after it. Now back to Follis at the point. Shot. No deflection, just ends up wide right, I think. Now back to Young. Young sends it up to big Jeff Gross to avoid getting hit in the face off the bench. 15.4 seconds left in the period. 59 seconds left in the power play. Giorgio on the face-off. And he sends it over to Young. Oh, Young misses it and then gets the puck back himself. Now Giorgio centers it, but St. Peter's is right there to send it back to the other side of the ice, and there's not going to be an icing on this one. Doesn't go far enough, and that's going to end the period. Rockets trailing 0-1. They're going to have a 43-second power play when we come back. Rockets head into this third period, down by 1. They send in Giorgio at center, Akins on the left wing, and Gross on the right wing, with Salmons and Benoit in at defense. It's going to be a great third period if there's anything like the rest of the two periods. The Rockets got to step it up and get more shots on net, just like they always do, get more possession on the play. Rockets send it in. And then they lose the zone. It goes back the other way. Now Gross sends it across over to Giorgio. Giorgio kicks it off his feet. Skates past two guys. He's going to get a shot. It looks like he got tripped. It looks like we got Bernie Sanders here in my view. Again, the Rockets trying to get it deep. Benoit steps up. Now Gross. He sends it across the ice to Giorgio. Giorgio. Oh, oops, sorry, almost in front of the net. Salmon sends it back deep. Giorgio centers it. And now St. Peter's sends it back to the point, who loses the zone. Benoit sends it back around. Rockets back on sides. Send it back over to Akins. Akins sends it deep again. St. Peter's is right there, though. Follis comes in off the bench. He skates in hard. Shot ends up high, or gets deflected actually. Now back to the point for Wagner. Wagner sends it off the boards and sends it around the corner. Follows in where he's not supposed to be, but sometimes the defense plays there. Now back, and Wagner can't keep it inside the zone. Weird deflection off the boards. And then sent back in, and they're going to call icing on that. I guess it was from the other side of the red line. 13-10 left in the period. Parrish now in at center. Jansen, Young, Gardner. Shot deflected out in front by Parrish. Marburger's the other winger that's in. Now Parrish sends it in from right past the red line. No icing. Jansen skates in after it, Now St. Peter's sends it right up to Young at the point. He shoots it. He gets deflected out in front and then goes to the right. Now Gardner sends it towards the center of the net. It's deflected out in front by St. Peter's. They pick it up. They send it back up. Rockets lose the zone. Jansen sends it over to Young. Rockets back on sides. Young sends it close to on net. It gets deflected out in front. Now St. Peter's in control of the puck. They send it back into the neutral zone. Young pushes him outside to make sure he can't get any play on the play. Now Marburger picks it up, sends it over to Jansen. Jansen back to Parrish, but he can't quite connect with the puck or hold the puck. Now he has it again. He sends it back to Jansen, but Jansen wasn't paying attention and missed it. Now St. Peter's sends it right back into the neutral zone again. Salmon's now in. Over to Jansen. St. Peter's picks it up in the neutral zone. They skate up past the red line, past the blue line, and make two moves. Salmons takes out two guys. Now passed up to Parrish. Parrish has passed the red line. Now he passes the blue line. Tries to send it deep. It gets deflected off a stick. Now Salmons chases after it behind the net. Rockets need to get it out of the zone and back into the other end of the ice. They got to get some shots on net if they want to win this game. St. Peter's now. Back to Kai at center line, center ice. He makes a move. He skates up, but St. Peter's beats him to the puck after his move. Now Wagner and Follison on defense. Puck's into the other side of the ice, no icing. Follis flips it back up to Kai. Kai passes it up to Ryleman. Ryleman enters the zone. St. Peter's picks up the puck, sends it over to the other side of the boards. Wagner then waits for everybody to get on side, sends it on net, deflected off the stick of the goalie. Now St. Peter's picks it up. They get a new line. Rockets get a new line change, and St. Peter's sends it all the way to the other side of the ice. Oh, they waved icing, I guess, because Mormon went after the puck. Now sent back across. Giorgio picks it up. Alexander there. Hellwig now. Hellwig sends it towards the center of the net. Alexander's pounding on the puck, can't get one through. Now St. Peter's comes away with it, and they send it all the way to the other side of the ice for an icing on St. Peter's with 9:40 left in the third period. Gardner and Young in on defense with Giorgio, Hellwig, and Alexander in on offense. must need a break because I think they just want to hear themselves talk or something because all they want to do is be involved in this game. It's ridiculous. It looks like we're going to get a TV timeout. I don't have any commercials for you, though. All right, the refs are done talking to themselves and are looking at the rule book to make sure they know the rules of the game. They just figured out it's 14U hockey, so let's see how they finish the rest of the game out. Hellwig on the face-off. He sends it back to Giorgio, over to Salmons. Back to Salmons again. Salmons sends it back up to Alexander. Alexander centers it to Hellwig. Can't quite get a shot off. Now Salmons chases after it. He sends it back into the neutral zone. And then St. Peter's sends her all the way back into the Rocket zone.
Chase it down, Blue. Let's go.
Now Hellwig trying to get it out of the zone. Giorgio sends it back across the side of the ice to Young. Young sends it to Alexander. Alexander over to Giorgio. Giorgio sends it deep into the zone. It's beside the left side of the net. Center pass by Giorgio, but nobody's there to collect. Now St. Peter's picks it up. Salmons holds it inside the zone. Hellwig sends it back in deep again. Now Giorgio back to Salmons. Salmons sends one. Now Hellwig. And it's deflected out in front by St. Peter's goalie. Good save by St. Peter's. They cover, and that's going to give us a face-off inside of the St. Peter's zone with 8:25 left in the third period. Rockets down 0-1, as you can see on the scoreboard. We bring in Wagner, Follis, Gross, McLaughlin, and Akins. Face-off controlled by St. Peter's, and then Gross back checks, holds everybody up in the neutral zone, but St. Peter's heads back into the Rocket zone. Now McLaughlin picks it up, passes it over to Gross. Gross looks as to pass and does so to Akins, but intercepted by St. Peter's.
Good job, Xander.
Wagner sends it back into the neutral zone where St. Peter's has to recollect themselves. Now Wagner at the blue line tries to pass it up to Akins. Now Akins back with the puck. He sends it over to Gross, and they're going to call an offsides on McLaughlin, I guess. That was super close. I thought his foot was dragging the line, but it evidently was not. 7:45 left in the game. McLaughlin on the face-off and sends it back to Wagner, who flips it into the zone. Now Akins right in front of the net, but can't quite collect himself enough to get a shot off. Now shot by Gross. Now Follis from the left circle gets deflected out in front. Gross picks it up, sends it around the side of the boards. Follis pinches hard. Now Akins picks it up. Shot by Gross. Doesn't get through, deflected out in front, held at the blue line by McLaughlin. Now McLaughlin again, back to Follis. Follis shot. And now the Rockets lose the line. They get back on sides. Oh, Wagner able to get it back over and through the neutral zone. Akins blocks one, but then St. Peter's sends it right back into the zone. Benoit sends it, flips it up, but St. Peter's gets there faster and sends it back deeper into the corner. Now Follis. He sends it to Gross. Gross over to Giorgio. Giorgio can't quite hold it, but there's no icing on this one. Now McLaughlin with it. Giorgio. Alexander comes in, center pass, deflected off the skate of St. Peter's. Alexander again, now Giorgio. Now Alexander. McLaughlin. And then kicked out of the zone. Benoit holds it in. Rockets recollect themselves and send it back in. Alexander, now Giorgio chasing after it. They flip it up the boards. Hellwig keeps it in. Benoit and Salmon's in on defense now. Shot. And that's going to be blocked and covered by the St. Peter's goalie with 5:58 left in the third. Hellwig on the face-off. Benoit, Salmons, Giorgio, and Alexander. This line scored several times. Let's see what they can do right now. Back to Benoit. Benoit sends it. And it's deflected out in front of the net. St. Peter's picks it up. They send it up to their winger. He skates into the zone. Benoit sends him outside, though. Great job, Benoit. And it's back into the neutral zone again where St. Peter's picks it up. Now over to Alexander. They enter inside the zone. It's going to be offsides on Giorgio. I don't know. It looked like offsides out of the corner of my eye. If he would have drug his foot, I think he would have been okay. 5:27 left in the third. Now Jansen, Parrish, and Kai in on offense with Young and Follis on defense. St. Peter's skates into the Rockets zone. Young chases after it. He stops and then sends it up the side of the boards. Now right from the slot, shot blocked right in front though. Rockets lucky on that one probably. Jansen and Follis battling for it. They send it over to Kai. St. Peter's gets a stick on it. Kai can't quite get control, but it is back in St. Peter's zone. Now Parrish shot, deflected now over to the right side. Follis pinches. He loses the zone. Now Kai chases after it. He has it in the neutral zone, passes it up to Jansen. Jansen flicks it up to Parrish, but they can't quite connect on that one either. Now Follis back with the puck inside the Rockets zone. St. Peter's with it. Almost a boarding call, but no call. And that's going to be offsides on St. Peter's. 4:17 left in the game. Rockets are going to have to start stepping it up and get some shots. They got to get the puck back in the other side of the zone if they want to win this game. This is the end of the season for them. They've got to do it right now. Salmons and Wagner now in on defense. Gross and Giorgio, two wingers, with Akins at center. Salmons chases after it. Has not been a very physical game, actually. St. Peter's able to keep it in the zone. Salmons chases after it. He looks to outlet the pass. He then sends it to Gross. Gross now to Akins. Akins looking to pass it to Giorgio. Does so. Giorgio just in front of Giorgio, but he still is able to get it. He centers it back to Akins. Rockets lose the zone. Gross sends it back to Salmon. Salmon skates up. Can't get it back in the zone again. Now Wagner. Wagner up to Gross. Gross sends it in deep. St. Peter's picks it up behind their own net, flips it up. Now Salmon's in the neutral zone. He's waiting for everybody to get on sides. He passes it up to Giorgio, and then Wagner sends it in deep. St. Peter's again flips it up to the blue line. Rockets able to keep it in. Saved in, but then St. Peter's sends it back into the neutral zone. They're heading back the other way. 2:55 left in the game. Shot deflected out in front by Mormon. Now the Rockets heading back the other way. Young chases after it into the corner. Passes it up to Alexander, but Alexander misses it. And they're going to call icing on the Rockets here with 2:33 left in the third. And the Rockets are going to call a timeout. St. Peter's fans getting worked up on the right side of me. Rockets fans getting going on the left side of me. Rockets have Benoit, Young, Kai, Hellwig, and Alexander in on the play. They've got to get the puck on the other side of the ice. Face off over Benoit with the puck. Now Hellwig. Young sends it to the other side of the ice, no icing. Now back to the other side, Fallis picks it up inside the neutral zone. There's a minute 53 left. Rockets are going to have to look to pull their goalie here in a second. Now Alexander up to Giorgio. Giorgio to Young. Young flips it. Oh, and it goes in! Oh my God! Young hits it from the blue line and scores a goal. The goalie wasn't expecting it. Now the Rockets tie it 1-1 with a minute 39 left in the game. Oh my goodness. We're not on a power play. Sorry about that. The Rockets tie it 1-1 with a minute 39 left. Unbelievable shot by Young from the blue line. Goalie wasn't expecting it at all. Amazing. Everybody's pumped up inside the Kirkwood Ice Arena right now. Fallis, Wagner, Gross, Akins, and Giorgio in on the play. Faceoff goes back to St. Peter's. They send it through. Now pass over to Giorgio. He's got one guy to beat. He's got a shot here. He makes a move and scores! Oh my goodness! Giorgio with the goal off the breakaway. And the Rockets go up 2-1 with a minute minute 28 left. Amazing job by the Rockets there. They are pumped up and ready to go. Within a minute, or actually within 30 seconds, the Rockets score 2 goals. This is an amazing game. Akins, Gross, Giorgio, Fallis, Wagner in on the play. Face off right in front of me. Gross sends it down deep. Now St. Peter's is going to be looking to pull their goalie. Rockets just have to keep it deep in the zone. Now Wagner with the puck. Sends it back into the neutral zone. Now Giorgio with the puck. He wraps it up, and they're gonna blow the puck dead super fast, which normally wouldn't happen. But these refs suck, so that's what's gonna happen. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to blame anything on the refs. Giorgio now at center. A minute 1 left in the game. Face off. Giorgio wins it and sent all the way to the other side of the ice for an icing on the Rockets. St. Peter's has pulled their goalie. 4 or 5 seconds burn off the clock. We need a few more seconds than that to burn off on every one of these face-offs, but that's okay. We got Salmons, Young, Giorgio, Gross, and Alexander in on the play. Face-off, back to St. Peter's. They skate around, center pass. Oh, shot. It gets deflected out to the side. Now Gross in the corner. Rockets wrap him up. Now Giorgio with the puck behind the net. He sends it into the neutral zone. It's saved at the point. Shot. And then back to the right. And they blow the puck dead really quick again. 28 seconds left in the game. Amazing exchange of plays as the Rockets have transitioned and all the momentum shifted all of a sudden into the Rockets' favor. We're still a 5-on-5 hockey here. Giorgio taking the face off again. He wins it, sends it back to Salmons. Salmons flips it off the boards, and the Rockets send it back into the neutral zone. 20 seconds left in the game. All they got to do is keep it down on that end of the ice. St. Peter's flips it all the way back to the other side. Two, one, and the Rockets win it! Rockets excited about that win. They scored 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of the game to go up and win against St. Peter's. St. Peter's more or less controlled the puck the whole time. Exciting game. We'll see everybody next weekend for the Blue Note Cup Championship against, I believe, Kirkwood is who's going to be playing. Rockets come back, down 1-0. Exciting game. We'll see everybody next time.